York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back? Back again.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And a happy Monday morning to you. I am Gary Sutton, and welcome to the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK. It is the mainstream of York. It is 6:05. We can turn me up just a little bit on the main street of York and York County. And glad to be back with you here in this. Today's the final day of June. Hard to believe, but it is. And we head into the second half of the year. Today is the end of the first half of the year, Mark, which is, again, hard for me to believe, but nevertheless, it is here. And it is the reality of our moment. Mark McKenzie here this morning.
Which means that we have been here in this room.
All but 14 days
right.
This year. Yes. And very happy about that, by the way. Very happy about that.
For the most part,
we're enjoying the confines here of the park and
Scenic.
Wellspan Park. Scenic. We love it down here. And anyway, my cords are unbelievably entangled this morning.
Oh, you have no idea.
I was looking down here at...
you have no idea what we had to do. You know, I'll tell you later.
Yeah. So anyway, of course, I was not here on Friday to keep order and... You know, all the things that I don't know if I do. I'm probably giving myself a lot more credit than I would ever deserve. But Mark and Aaron were here on Friday. How'd that go? Did it go well?
Generally, it went well. And then I had interviewed Jim McClure, and always a very interesting guy. And then I made Dr. Nick, in the truest sense of the word, a guest.
Okay. And in what way? I mean, that sounds cryptic.
Well, I interviewed him.
Yeah. Okay.
So we always have a lot of fun with him.
We do.
And you you'll have a particular subject to talk about. But I always wonder sometimes whether people don't know about some of our guests.
Right.
So in this, that's what I felt with Dr. Nick. It's like we always kind of goof off and stuff, which is fine, entertaining and all. But,
sure.
Well, let's find out a little bit more about why he or what he believes and in some cases why. So
yeah. Well, it's good. I mean, I slept in on Friday, so I did not hear 1 second of the show.
You didn't miss. It's not going into the Radio Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, it sounded like it went okay from what I understood. But
yeah, for the most part.
By the way, we will have a short week this week. We are off this Friday because of the July 4th holiday. So just to warn you and get you girded in case you have an information dearth on Friday or an information vacation on Friday, we just wanted to let you know. Anyway,
well, look at it this way.
Yes.
They probably wouldn't have been here.
Probably not. Probably not, because you have Friday off, too.
Well, they would have been thinking about, hot dogs on the 4th of July.
Or hamburgers.
Which, by the way, no. Well, maybe.
Anyway, by the way, I do want to remind you that this show is brought to you by Barley Snyder Law Firm. Barley.com is the website, innovative legal solutions for your business. They're a law firm for today's business world. And we'll be talking about them a little bit more later on, but we are so proud to have them as our presenting sponsor, Mark.
I was just going to say that, I don't, some of these things that, I just checked the food holiday today.
Right.
And it's wrong.
Oh, really?
It is. It's wrong. I knew. I thought, that doesn't seem right. And it's not. So I've got to keep digging. Well, anyway, speaking of hot dogs, I actually, I played golf on Saturday, and afterwards went and had something to eat and a cool drink.
Right.
And they had one of the things they had up on the TV, I think it was ESPN. They were, if you can believe this, I don't think it was a the new or the latest iteration. I think they do that on 4th of July. Nathan's hot dog eating thing?
Yeah.
Well, I could have sworn there was Joey Chestnut scarfing down all these hot dogs. And I'm thinking, you're watching a replay? A year-old replay of a hot dog eating contest?
Maybe studying technique. If you are, then you may have problems. You may
I
have
don't know.
problems.
There were several normal-looking people looking at Chestnut like he was an alien.
Yeah. By the way, today is maybe the most important day of National Day of the Year.
What?
I think the most important of the year. How do you like that?
Wow.
Social Media Day. First there was the telephone, then there was a fax machine, then social media, which is a revolutionary way of communicating. Now, since its creation, people have, basically been able to connect with each other like never before. Families and friends can connect at any moment. Marketers have been able to reach customers in an entirely new fashion. In fact, people use social media for an average of 144 minutes every single day. An average of 144 minutes. Because of its impact on society over the years, Social Media Day was born on June 30th, and it has continued to grow in popularity ever since. Now, the history of World Social Media Day was launched by Mashable on June 30th of 2010. It was born as a way to recognize social media's impact on global communication and to bring the world together to celebrate it. Everyone uses social media every day. It's how we connect with people all over the world together to celebrate it. And everyone uses social media. Mashable is known to use social media to connect various cultures and movements, which is why they wanted a day to celebrate it. So people use the hashtag SMDAY, SM Day, every year. And this year is our time to get involved, your time too. The first social media platform ever to be launched, Mark, do you know what it was?
No.
And this surprised me because I did not know it. 6 Degrees in 1997. 6 Degrees in 1997, which was founded by Andrew Weinrich. The website allowed users to list friends and family members and had features such as profiles, bulletin boards, school affiliation. And at its peak, 6 Degrees had 1 million users at its peak. But it was eventually shut down in 2001. The first modern social media platform was Friendster in 2002.
I remember that.
Yep. Now, the website allowed people to safely make new friends and has over 100 million users, most of whom are in Asia. LinkedIn, the first business-focused social media platform, was launched in 2003. MySpace, remember that one?
I do.
Launched in 2004, the same year as Facebook. But initially, it saw much greater success than Mark Zuckerberg's creation. By 2006, MySpace was the largest social media platform in the world, with users loving the customized profiles that also enabled them to post their music. And then YouTube launched its website dedicated to video in 2005, and Twitter followed with its limited characters platform in 2006. As both grew in popularity, so did Facebook. And the most popular social media platforms for the next 5 years were being established. Instagram launched in 2010 and saw really rapid growth then. And then let's see what else. Instagram challenged the dominance of Facebook, purchased the platform for $1 billion in 2012. Facebook also purchased the encrypted messaging platform WhatsApp for $16 billion in 2014.
Wow.
And one platform that Facebook failed to buy was Snapchat. Snapchat, which became popular due to its disappearing stories feature, was launched in 2011, reportedly turned down a $3 billion offer from Facebook in 2013. So as social media, basically, I guess you would say, has evolved and grown in popularity, so has the scrutiny that the platforms come under, with controversies surrounding their use of data, hate speech, impact on mental health, election results, and fake news. The platforms are under more pressure than ever to be transparent with what goes on behind the scenes. And our text question of the day today, and you can text us at 833-478-4729, is this. Has social media been overall a good thing for our country or a bad thing for our country? Or maybe just for the world in general, you could say. Has social media been a great thing or a bad thing for the world in general? 833 478-4729. Try out our text messaging and use that this morning. We'd love to hear from you. And, of course, now today we have influencers for business and general entertainment out of this. We have 4 days now, by the way, until Independence Day. So we got that going for us, Mark. And I know we have some other national days too, right?
There are. And let's delve right into Leap Second Time Adjustment Day.
Leap. Oh, this is where you catch up the seconds from a leap. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Meteor Day.
Okay.
And
is there a meteor going by today or something?
I don't know. It just said Meteor Day. I didn't follow. I was too busy doing the food holidays.
Yeah.
One more other one though, and I like this one because it sort of lets you know that school's out, because it's please take my children to work day.
Yeah. I hear that, yeah.
I like that. Food holidays today. Well, it is the last day of June, and June is lemon month, mango month. So this is the last day for iced tea month, seafood month, dairy month, okra month.
Wow. Yeah.
Cucumber, frozen yogurt.
Okay.
And then I stop.
And finally, we have a Facebook question for today, too, at Gary Sutton Show at Facebook. Don't forget, you could also check out YouTube and get our show if you missed a part of it, or if you'd like to listen to it without getting up early in the morning sometimes. WOYK on YouTube will do that for you. You can listen to the show every day. And then Just a Voice on Main Street is my one-on-one interview site that I use, where I sit down with people of the area who have done something extraordinary and or just done something that I think is extraordinary, and I talk to them and interview them, and they're about half hour in length. So you can check that out. It's Just a Voice on Main Street. But our Facebook question today, Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina, one of two senators who voted against President Trump's big, beautiful bill in committee and got great criticism from the president, railed against the slow death of bipartisanship in Washington in a statement. Quote, "In Washington over the last few years, it's become increasingly evident that leaders who are willing to embrace bipartisanship, compromise, and demonstrate independent thinking are becoming an endangered species," unquote, he said. And here's my question. Do you think bipartisanship is dead in American politics or not? Please explain your thoughts on this. And that is at Facebook today. You can go into Gary Sutton Show to find our Facebook page and then answer that question. I'd love to hear what you think about it. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We got a lot more coming your way here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
First offering, he swings, hits it in the air in right field. Decker going back toward the cannon. It is gone! Jalen Davis, another opposite field home run. He is playing pepper with the right field wall. 7th home run in his first 20 games with York. 2-0. Swung on, driven to center field again. Johnson going back deep. He's out of room. It's gone! Jalen Davis does it again! 2-run blast to the lawn in right center. It's Jalen Davis 5, Staten Island 1.
Well, the Revs had their way with Staten Island over the weekend. I think they lost Friday night by 1 run and then just jumped them on Saturday. Had 8 runs in a 6-6 tie in the 8th inning and won 14-6. And yesterday won 6-2 to win that series. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they have clinched the first half title. 37-20 is the record right now. The Long Island Ducks are 30-27. Of course, the Revs return home here tomorrow night, and Daryl and I will be on the game tomorrow night. I believe, you know what, I take that back. I don't think I'm on the game tomorrow night. I think I'm on Wednesday and Thursday. But Daryl will be on tomorrow night for sure against the Stormers, and airtime on that is at 6:10. Daryl will be on later on this morning to, he probably won't be quite as excited as he was on the home run
He
call.
did give me a warning.
Yes.
He said, just let it ring.
Yeah, let it ring because he's,
Just keep trying.
Anyway, yeah. So we have a lot of news that has happened around the area and around the country. The Senate Republicans advanced President Trump's tax and spending cuts bill after a dramatic late-night vote. This is, of course, what is known as the Big Beautiful Bill, which I've always found to be silly, by the way, but that name. But anyway, the Senate Republicans voting in a dramatic late Saturday night session narrowly cleared a key procedural step as they had raced to advance President Donald Trump's package of tax breaks, spending cuts, and bolster deportation funds by his July 4th deadline. The tally was 51-49, came after a tumultuous night with Vice President J.D. Vance at the Capitol to break a potential tie. Tense scenes played out in the chamber as voting came to a standstill, dragging for more than 3 hours as holdout senators huddled for negotiations and took private meetings off the floor. In the end, 2 Republicans opposed the motion to proceed, joining all Democrats. And one of those was Tom Tillis that I was talking about earlier from North Carolina. There's still a long weekend of work to come. Republicans are using their majorities in Congress to push aside Democratic opposition, but they have run into a series of political and policy setbacks. Not all GOP lawmakers are on board with proposals to reduce spending on Medicaid, food stamps, and other programs as a way to help cover the cost of extending some $3.8 trillion in Trump tax breaks. And John Thune said it's time to get this legislation across the finish line. So we'll see if they're able to do that. Now, Tom Tillis said he'll vote against it in the main floor vote when that comes up. And I think that is scheduled for today. Maybe not. Yeah.
I don't think so. I think they have all kinds of debate still to come.
Right. Okay.
And it's, I don't know how many, it's 964 pages.
940 pages.
Oh, 40.
940. And it takes 17 hours to read. Yeah. And there's no pictures. And that's the worst part. There's no pictures. But that was released shortly after midnight Friday, and senators are expected to grind through all they did all weekend long. So we'll see what becomes of that in upcoming days. Elon Musk has ripped into this bill, called it utterly insane, quote unquote. And he has been a critic of this bill right from the beginning. His prior criticisms of the spending package triggered a public feud between Elon Musk and the president. That's since been kind of downplayed a little bit. But his newest comments, he said, he called it utterly insane and destructive, pointing to provisions in the bill that would raise taxes on many solar, battery, geothermal, wind, and nuclear energy projects. Musk automaker Tesla produces, sells, and installs both, guess what? Battery energy storage systems and solar photovoltaics as part of its energy division. Musk's remarks came weeks after he first hurled harsh criticism against the bill, which is, of course, backed by President Trump. called Utterly Insane and Destructive. It gives handouts to industries of the past while severely damaging industries of the future. If you want to read code speak there, it doesn't include my stuff in there. I think that's kind of what he's saying. But the bill would also create a new subsidy for coal that's used for the production of steel. So we'll see what happens there.
Did you see that gunman who apparently started a fire in Idaho?
Yeah.
And then when the firefighters came, he opened fire on him, killing 2 of them.
Really sick. And then they just found his body yesterday, I guess, in a wooded area with a gun nearby. So I guess
he acted alone.
But it brings to mind again something we talked about last week, Mark, that this idea of firing on people with authority. First of all, it's going after candidates, but firing on police, firing on firemen in this case. How sick do you have to be to start a fire, to get firemen to come put it out, and then you fire on the firemen?
Yeah.
Shoot at the firemen.
Guns allow you to have the final word. You get to, it doesn't matter how you've been disrespected, a gun will allow you to have the final word.
Well, again, the people that are firing those are admittedly,
they're not criminals until they
are.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's no truth to the rumor. You say you went to a golf tournament?
I did.
It was not the Bezos' wedding.
No.
Okay.
No, I did not get my invitation until late on that.
Well, I just wanted to double check.
Right. That's been quite a wedding. And that's like a celebration.
Yeah, you could call it that.
I wonder, it'd be fun to be the people who were supplying it with the cakes and all that kind of stuff. I mean, can you imagine what they cost?
Now, didn't his last wife cost him?
Well, and she's the one that has given away all the money.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's, she's got plenty.
She's the most philanthropic woman in the world.
There you go. I mean, what do you expect with that many billions?
But she wouldn't have had to do that. I mean, she's given away all these different causes, which I think is great. Kevin Smith's here this morning. Kindness. I mean, she's passed out kindness in terms of bills and helping people more than anybody I know. So
another big story on Friday, closing arguments in the Sean Puffy Combs case. So
he's looking down life imprisonment if he's found guilty on that.
It's going to be interesting to see how long the jury takes to come up with some sort of decision.
They get that case today, from what I understand. So they're finding final dispatching of the what you need to do, being a jury. And again, I've been on the other side of the jury on that kind of thing on a murder case. And I'll tell you what, when you go into deliberation, that's unbelievable. When you're holding the murder weapon in your hand and you're doing all that kind of stuff.
See, I've never had. I was ready to do it, but didn't have the opportunity. I mean, I was there. Yeah. And they didn't. I didn't get chosen for a case, although the judge gave us credit for forcing the defendant. The defendant was. It was in a federal case, and they were charging him with, I believe, causing a fatal accident. And he fought them, and he was delaying the trial and all that. And then the judge had us, the potential jurors. We were not even the jurors; we were just potential. They opened up the doors of the courtroom, and there were about 20 of us standing in the hallway. And he looked at the defendant. He looked at us, and then he looked back to the defendant. He said, "Close the doors." And the next time we opened the doors, about 10 minutes later, he asked us to come. He said the defendant pled guilty because he saw us out there. So he gave us a check mark for our service. So that's probably why I haven't been called back. But I did my duty.
You showed up. You were ready.
Yes.
You were there as a citizen.
We got our man.
Yeah, you got your guy. Right. There you go. My guy, I think, is still sitting on death row somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah, he was the Chambers trial.
Now, so you convicted, and then was it the same jury for sentencing?
I was on the sentencing jury.
Yes, the second one,
which said you sentence him to death or not. And I'll tell you what, we sentenced him to death. And you're anyone who ever thinks that that's an easy decision, you stand there with your knees feeling weak when you stand up, and then they polled the jury where you have to stand up individually. How say you? And and it's you get the two choices. And I'll tell you what, you want to talk about the seriousness in your life coming down to a granite level. Right there it happens, and it's pretty incredible. So yeah, and what was interesting was the I'm trying to think what the DA's name was. Tom. He was the defense lawyer in that case. He later on became the DA.
Tom Barker?
No, not Tom. That's Tim Barker.
Oh, Tim Barker.
No,
sorry.
Tom. And I'll think of his name here in a second. It's escaping me for a moment. Forgive me. Anyway, when we come back, Kevin Smith. We're going to talk to him about Social Media Day today and what hath it wrought for our world. Has it been generally positive or negative? We'll find out about that when we come back with Kevin Smith here of Kindness Worldwide on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, where it is 6:30. Welcome back. The Gary Sutton Show here on a Monday morning, the last day of June 2025. You'll never have this day again. So make it a good one. be kind.
Wear sunscreen.
Wear sunscreen and be kind. Go out there and enjoy the day. And, we have with us this morning Kevin Smith, and we're going to get the mic over to him here. But, Kevin, good morning of Kindness Worldwide. He starts us off every Monday morning with the right kind of mindset for the week. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you. And, I wanted to ask you, today is National Social Media Day. And, this is, we're halfway through the year, this year. And one of the things that in every topic that we talk about, somehow we come back to what's the effect of social media on making that better or worse? It seems like that happens a lot in our conversations that we have around our country and around the world, I would dare say. What's your take on social media? Is it generally been good for us? Has it generally been bad for us? I mean, what's the kind of risk-reward kind of situation here? What's your take on all that?
Well, if I'm honest, I don't think Social Media Day is really a day worthy of celebration.
Okay.
The genie's out of the bottle, but I've said many times if there's a genie I could put back in the bottle, social media would be one of them. Yes, a lot of good things happen from social media. It's a great way to reconnect with many that otherwise would be difficult. I have a 40-year high school reunion coming up, and it's great to connect with classmates and to find them and invite them back that otherwise would be very difficult without social media. And so there are many, many positive things with social media. But I think it's also been a source of great division in many cases. It's very easy for misinformation to get out into the public domain and have a lot of adverse reactions to that. I think many people are more connected in terms of social media, but they're losing connection. We all often talk about being seen, the importance of being seen. Well, many times we're out and about, we're family with friends, and people are on their phones, and they're connected with others, but they're losing connection with those that are most important to them. And look, I'm guilty of that as well. I do spend a lot of time on social media for positive, for constructive reasons, to further this movement, this global movement. That would not be possible were it not for social media, this grassroots movement. But I think on the margin, when I think about the net, personally, I think a lot more harm has been caused by social media than the good.
When you look, you said connected and connections. You get connected, physically, but connections, you kind of lose. When you're not in the presence of somebody, and one of the things we did this past week, and I was away at this place called Mount Union, to this golf tournament I go to every year, we had a get-together of friends, even though my golf was not all that great this weekend, but we had a fun time at the end of the day. Everybody was kind of cooking together and grilling together and sitting around next to the Juniata River overlooking that at nighttime together, just talking about different things, just having a good time. In fact, we celebrated a friend who had passed away this past year with his other half came up and put ashes on the river, and we had a little ceremony talking about him and remembrances. And I was reminded about, it didn't take any social media at that moment, and yet the social media that had been expressed to her in condolences was also part of this, which brought everybody together at this one place that we all stayed every year and enjoyed his company. So the idea of conversation, I lament many times the death of conversation in this country, and I think I'm probably overdoing it when I say that, because I think people still have conversations. I think a lot of people who live closer to each other tend to have more than people who live further apart in rural areas and so forth. But conversations are still had, I guess, on social media. But it is different when you're in person with people, isn't it? It's
very different. I mean, there's nothing better than personal conversation, personal connection, to literally see someone in person, face to face, to have meaningful conversations. That's a way of building trust and mutual respect. We could have conversations on social media, but in many cases, I think they digress, and we often lose civility. I think people often hide behind their keyboards, and they might say things on social media to provoke that they otherwise would not say in person. It's easy to hide behind the screen, so to speak. And I think that's, in my view, it's one of the reasons why I think we're trending towards a lack of civility in society, where people are so quick, especially on social media, to, they want to elevate themselves and present the good all the time, but there's always a story behind the story. And many people are, I would argue, less than kind behind their computer screens as they would be face-to-face.
You know, I just look at social media and I say to myself, I use it. I mean, I'm with you. I use it a lot, and I have to because of my job. But at the same time, I look at it and I say, are we using the personal touch? Are we losing the face-to-face touch? Are we losing the being in a room together and seeing the body English? Because so many times when you are communicating with somebody by text or whatever, you read stuff into what they said, which maybe wasn't at all what they meant. And yet we tend to do that now because we use it so darn much. And I've gotten into trouble with people where I have assumed, and then I start to use my imagination. I say, oh, they're being hateful, or they're being this here. And, you start to imagine all kinds of things that were maybe never meant by that, either in an email or in a text. Talk about that a little bit, because I think that's a real problem that we're having in this country. And we probably get into a lot of arguments that never will get into if we just had a chance to see him face to face.
I believe we are losing the personal touch, and unfortunately making it often personal. It's very easy to misinterpret on social media, but it's also very easy for someone to type in something on social media they would never say, face to face. And I think when you look at societal trends, Dr. Jen Fraser, who I know was a guest on your show a while back, she refers to it as empathy erosion, where we're really losing empathy. And, again, we're more connected, but we're losing that personal connection. And we're trending towards empathy erosion, and that has a lot of adverse connotations and consequences. The way we restore that, are these personal connections. It's acts of kindness. It's words of kindness. It's the things we do every day to show support. I mean, when there's a lot that knocks us down, it's up to us to lift each other up. And we can do that through social media, but we can do it much more effectively face-to-face in person.
We've been talking about the Revs and how successful they were here. They won the first half championship. But there's a date coming up here that is going to be very important to you, and I think to all of us. Pack the Park. Tell people a little bit about that date that's looming out ahead, not all that far away now, maybe about a month. And you're going to be trying to pack the park here for kindness that particular night. Tell people a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this will be August 7th at Wellspan Park. It's less a community event as it is a community statement. York, PA is the epicenter of this grassroots global movement spawned by an act of kindness right here in York County. And we know that York County stands up for kindness. It certainly showed the world what it has in embracing the spirit of Kindness Week and Kindness Worldwide. But I truly believe this community will actually show up for kindness. The goal is to pack the park. Our film director is going to be here for the movie For Such a Time as This. It's going to showcase York on the global stage in a very powerful film. We're going to be interviewing fans that might be part of the documentary. We're going to be infusing kindness into the experience of that event. So this is much more than just a normal ball game. This is an opportunity for our community to show the world what it's got. There's a lot of cynics and naysayers who say we can't pull it off, that we can't fill the stadium on a weeknight on a kindness-themed event. Well, I believe they don't know York, and I know this community will prove them wrong. We've done it before, and we'll do it again on August 7th.
You gave a talk to a group of people at Wellspan just recently. My wife just told me the other day they just got a note from one of the heads of the departments that they now have kindness committees. And she is going to be on that. And they asked who would like to volunteer, and she's on that committee. She said, I know, Kevin, And so they are already putting that to work in how can they be kinder even to their patients, to each other. And they have different things going on there. So the word is spreading. It's networking around, maybe slowly, maybe faster in other areas. I don't know. But I just found that to be interesting the other day on a grassroots level right here in York, that even Wellspan, of course, right here at Wellspan Park, is pushing that and thinks it's serious enough to have you in to talk about it, and then go ahead and start to do something with it where they can now be better in terms of the experience for their patients and so forth, which has got to be crazy sometimes in there, because we know, it's one of two big hospitals here in the area that really needs to have kindness as part of what they offer in terms of service.
Well, that's a great example of this grassroots movement and this ecosystem model. We simply plant a seed, and I try to water them the best that I can. But it's up to really the community and organizations to really embrace the spirit of this movement, limited only by the bounds of imagination and creativity. There's definitely a connection between wellness and kindness, so WellSpan is a natural partner in this movement. Dr. Jen Fraser and I co-presented at a summit to WellSpan during Mental Health Awareness Month. It was very well received. I am so grateful for their backing this initiative, and to hear that just really touches my heart. And really, it's following that lead, like WellSpan. They're stepping up in their community. They're taking the lead. We need others to do the same. And as we all do that together, we are putting this community on the map. And we are doing something really special in our community to create a culture of kindness that exists in this community, to show that to the world. And it's really leaders like WellSpan that are leading the way and hopefully setting the tone for others to follow their example.
It's one of the things you talk about always, be the good and see the good in someone else today. For such a time as this, the name of the documentary, that's completed now, from what I understand. And
almost. It'll be completed in the fall, but we're getting there.
Okay, getting close. So anyway, looking forward to seeing that when it gets out. But Pack the Park, again, how can people get involved in that? Because we want to start getting people getting their tickets and getting ready to go and be here that night. Because, at some point in time, you're going to run out, and we don't want to run out for anybody who's interested in being there.
Well, visit kindnessworldwide.org. There's a countdown clock at the top to Pack the Park. There's a link with more information to purchase tickets. A portion of every ticket purchased will go towards a new innovative kindness pool to reward kindness in our community, to celebrate the organizations that are most embracing the spirit of Kindness Week Worldwide this November. But visit kindnessworldwide.org. Again, pack the park, spread the word, share the word, tell your friends, tell your colleagues. We want the entire community to stand up for kindness on August 7th and really show the world what we've got.
York is the epicenter of the kindness movement, and we hope you'll check it out at kindnessworldwide.org. Kindnessworldwide.org. Kevin Smith here, who is the founder of that particular movement, and it is getting great guns. It's going wildfires in some places, maybe slow fires start in other places, but always for the good of getting people to be kinder to each other. Kevin, thanks so much. Have a great week, my friend.
Oh, thanks. Same to you, Gary.
Always a pleasure. Kevin Smith with us here this morning, and we'll talk to him again. Now, this week we won't talk to him on Friday because we're off this Friday, so you're going to have to do it on your own. But Kevin's giving you enough juice there. I think we can probably do that to next week, and we'll talk to you next Monday morning then, Kevin. Thanks so much. Kevin Smith here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. When we come back, Mark has got some news under the radar. Any advanced previews on that, Mark? Thank you so much. I'm glad we had this talk. 648. Yeah, make sure you listen.
I couldn't if I tried.
Yeah, you could if you didn't listen.
Oh, honey, if I get restless, baby, you're not that kind.
Yeah, we'd love to have you listen every morning here on WOYK. You can find us at 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK AM. You can also get us on our website at 989WOYK.com, and the new WOYK app is available as well. Don't forget our podcast later in the day up on YouTube at WOYK. It's a podcast of every show. And then also at Just a Voice on Main Street, I have a one-on-one interview with various people. And so you have all those different ways you get to us. And today you can text the show at 833-478-4729. And, we're basically asking about, has social media been good or bad for, people in general overall, in your opinion? Just text that. That's our text question of the day. Our Facebook question of the day has to do with, is bipartisanship dead in our political system? And that's at Gary Sutton Show on Facebook. So there are all those different ways, Mark, to get through to us. But we've got some news under the radar and some other things this morning.
It's somewhat ironic that you're asking people to use social media.
I am. To talk about social media today. Yeah.
Yes. I just pointed that out.
Might be a built-in prejudice there, is what you're saying.
Well, not prejudice, but you can see the yin and yang of it.
Mostly the yin. A lot of yin.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
Now, when was the last time you were at a movie theater?
Oh, my. Oh, maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3.
I was there less than a full week ago and saw...
You like to do that. You like to go to the theater, yeah.
Matter of fact, I have leftover movie popcorn in my bag here. So let's find out what the big movies were over the summer weekend.
Takes first place in its opening weekend, raking in more than $55 million in the U.S. and Canada.
Wait a second, honey. Wait. Sorry, I shouldn't have called you honey. Who?
F1 takes first place in its opening weekend, raking in more than $55 million in the U.S. and Canada, $144 million globally.
When was the last time you won a race? Sunday, Daytona. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Formula One. Oh, I'm sorry. Then same as you.
It marks the biggest opening ever for Apple Original Films and a record start for actor Brad Pitt. Universal's How to Train Your Dragon falls to second place with $19.4 million. Disney's Elio falls to third, bringing home $10.7 million. Kathleen Maloney, Fox News.
Yeah, the F1, I think if I have some time, if it's like too hot, don't have anything to do, maybe go see F1 in IMAX. Because I remember as a kid going to see Grand Prix in CinemaScope.
Yeah.
Did you have a theater around here that featured CinemaScope? It's where the screen kind of wrapped around you like in 180 degrees, and then the audience sat a little bit forward so that it kind of filled your field of vision. And it was quite a thing at the time, but too expensive.
Yeah. By the way, put down your fork right now, or if you're eating fish for breakfast, put that down. Fish is obviously one of the healthiest proteins you can eat, assuming this doesn't happen to you. A guy in Thailand shared a photo on Facebook after his wife swallowed a fish bone and forgot all about it until it came out the side of her neck. Ouch. And every one of you just grabbed your neck. Every one of you out there just grabbed your neck, didn't you? It was about an inch long. She felt it as soon as she swallowed and went to the ER. But they couldn't see anything in the x-ray, so they sent her home. She assumed the bone had dislodged itself. Right. She still had a sore throat, but figured it was just residual pain. Right. But then 2 weeks later...
2 weeks?
2 weeks later, she noticed a spot on the right side of the neck looked swollen. So she thought it might be a thyroid thing. So she went back to the hospital. But a second round of x-rays didn't show anything.
Weird.
Don't go to this hospital. They gave her pain meds and sent her home again. She didn't realize it was the bone until she was applying a pain patch that they gave her, pushed down on her neck, and one end of the bone popped out. Oh!
My God.
She went back to the ER a third time, and finally these idiots yanked the bone out. Her doctor said they'd never seen anything like it. She told reporters she's planning to avoid fish for a while, possibly forever. Do you think? I just saw a picture of it. Oh, my gosh. You talk about
How is that
disgusting and gross.
possible?
I don't know, but
I mean, I can't even imagine how it is even possible. How big was this bone?
well, now you can take this though and put it into a positive frame. And I did see this morning where someone said the 5 great things about having a fishbone sticking out of your neck. At Fishbone Neck is a great social media handle. It's social media day, so at Fishbone Neck is a great social media handle. You can have a kick-ass conversation starter at dinner parties. What's that out of your neck there?
Well, it's a funny story.
Yeah, I got it. It's a long story. And the priceless look on kids' faces when you point at it and say, I found Nemo. Well, here's another thing. You always have a place to hang your keys. I mean, that's something to look at.
You're looking at the bright side.
If you go to the doctor with neck pain, it shouldn't take long for them to diagnose the cause. I mean, you look at that and say, hey, you got fishbone sticking out of your neck.
She went 4 times.
Yeah. Chris Brown will cut his hand if he tries to choke you. I mean, that could happen. Yeah, that was bad.
Yes.
If anyone ever calls you a pencil neck, you can say, actually, it's a fishbone.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on. And if you ever form a comedy duo with Owen Wilson, you can call yourselves Bone Neck and, whatever knows. Yeah. So,
yes.
So you have that going for you. But isn't that, that is about as gross a story as I've heard in some time.
Absolutely. And I don't have a huge fear, but you always worry about getting something stuck in your throat.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. Like a chicken bone or something like that.
Well, maybe not, but really anything, just swallowing it the wrong way. I think I read a story once about someone and it went into like your throat kind of separates, air in the lung and then, food in the stomach, but it went into the lung and the person died.
Yeah.
And it's like, is it that close?
Yeah. It's terrible. Yeah. And I mean, if you ever got something caught in your throat, I mean, it is a terrible feeling.
Yes.
Well, when we come back, a guy who never gets anything caught in his throat because he's constantly announcing is Daryl Henry, who is the voice of the York Revolution right here at the stadium where we broadcast from every morning. And he is a happy guy this morning because the York Revolution have won the first half championship of the Atlantic League. And so they have now qualified for the playoffs already. And they're getting ready to play again tomorrow night against the Lancaster Stormers right here at home. And Daryl is going to recap what has been a great first half of the season next at 7:05 here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. But first, news at the top of the hour. It is 7 o'clock.
York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back? Back again.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome back to hour number 2 of the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Where it is 7:05 here on a Monday morning, the last day of June, 2025. 75 degrees here on Brooks Robinson Plaza at Wellspan Park, and so honored to be sponsored by Barley Snyder Attorneys at Law. Barley Snyder is a strategically focused law firm representing businesses, organizations, and individuals in all major areas of civil law. And with offices throughout Pennsylvania and Maryland, the firm's more than 130 attorneys provide innovative and effective representation to a wide range of clients. Check them out today at barley.com. And this hour, the 7 o'clock hour on a Monday morning, specifically brought to you by the Bison Farm. Local, family-owned in Mount Wolf. They have a farm down there. They have about 40 head of bison on that farm. And it's owned by the Verdict family, who I know very well. Just great young people. And it's a local family farm. Central Family Restaurant and Augie's both offer bison burgers from the product from the Bison Farm. You can buy their products through the market stands at New Eastern Market and also at Central Market. And they carry a full range of products from ground bison and burgers to steaks and roasts to my favorite, which is the bison brisket. Yes, which, by the way, is so good. Bison is a very healthy red meat, and you can check them out on the website that shows the benefits of bison over beef at www.thebisonfarm.com/whybison. www.thebisonfarm.com/whybison. And on social media day, they use social media quite a bit for the Bison Farm, so you can go to thebisonfarm.com. Proud sponsors of this hour of the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. But another guy who's a little proud this morning is Daryl Henry, voice of the York Revolution right here on WOYK, and also our general manager, makes him the boss for us, and the Rev's voice. And he joins us here this morning. A very happy Daryl Henry, although maybe a little bit tired Daryl Henry, right here on WOYK. Good morning, Daryl. How are you?
Good morning. Doing great, guys. How are you?
Well, we're doing very well, but a good weekend for the Revs as they finally take down the Ferry Hawks over the weekend. They had a little tough time with them the last 2 times in. But now, after Friday night, coming back with 2 big wins, and the Revs now the champions of the first half. Of course, the defending champions of the Atlantic League from last year, but now the champions of the first half. Just reflect on the first half of the season so far and what's gotten the Revs to this point.
Yeah, I kind of got into this late in the game yesterday. Just a really well-rounded team. I mean, offense near the top of the league. Pitching is at the top of the league. The defense has gotten really good, and they've got the clutch gene in them as well. And it really, it started from day one, off to the 5-0 start this year, the sweep on the road. The second week of the season was the only time that they weren't in first place. They were like a game back. And May 9th, they got back into first place and have never looked back. And some similarities to last year. Last year in approaching the clinch in the first half, they went from a magic number of 12-0 in like a possible 12, in 6 days,
right?
Where they could have taken 12 off the number, they did it. This time it was a little more methodical. It was like one at a time. One at a time, one each day. But there wasn't a whole lot of doubt about it. I think, I wouldn't say that the guys took anything for granted, but for me, watching this team, I mean, we kind of knew a couple of weeks ago that they had put themselves in this position, and it was just a matter of time, and they wrapped it up with still a week to go in the first half.
One of the things that I've noticed about this team has been the coaching. that they're starting to really develop over the last few years the idea that there is a single thread on how they play in terms of their hitting and their pitching. And you can really see the effects of the coaching. Talk about the coaching here, because that has really become an important part of what the Revs do.
Yeah, when I look at similarities to last year, that's one of the things that I think of. You know, hitters come excuse me, they come in here, they get better. There's no secret. I mean, Derek Wolfe is a guru as the hitting coach. Last year, people may not remember Donovan Casey, Rudy Martin Jr., they weren't 350 hitters from day one. It took them like a month and working every day with Wolfie, and they got better. And it wasn't a secret. I mean, it was, you can see it with the way that they put in the work. This year, you can see it with guys like Bubba Allen, Ryan Higgins, guys that got off the slow starts compared to where they are now. But the coaching really makes a difference. You know, I think of, Jalen Davis is a guy that yesterday he was the star of the game, 2 home runs. He drove in the first 5. They won 6-2, so he drove in almost all the runs. But he hit his 7th and 8th home runs with us. 7 of those 8 have been hit to the opposite field. And Rick traded for him early in June. He was at a place in a different league where he was struggling a little bit. But this is a former big league hitter. And it did not take long at all for him to get here and kind of find his swing again. And again, it's no secret working with Wolfie. But you see Rick during games, he'll go up to guys, whether it's hitters, pitchers. There's a lot of coaching that goes on down there during the game. And then on the pitching side of things, with Joe Harris, our pitching coach, I mean, I don't know, just one guy that comes to mind, Jordan Morales, who's a rookie, and he's turned into a really trusted relief arm here down the stretch. And rookies aren't necessarily supposed to come in and do that, but these guys find the right ones, they push the right buttons, and back to the type of player that they're looking for. Rick knows, exactly the type of player and type of people that he's looking for when he puts this team together.
Now, you need a chief. Rick Forty has certainly become the chief over the years. This guy knows where players are and how to pluck them out of different places better than anybody I've seen. And he is a no-nonsense, yet he seems to get along with his players kind of coach, where he basically says, hey, this guy pitched a lousy game last night. I mean, I threw it across the plate way too much. Or, hey, you know what? He got behind in his counts, and that's what happens. You're going to get down. So, I mean, there's no candy on the coat there. I mean, he really does not candy coat anything. He gives it to you straight, and you know exactly where you stand with him. And so I think this idea of this basic honesty with your players, maybe for some guys coming in, maybe that would be something that would be brutal, like a slap in the face. Not on the Revs. They seem to be able to accept that and actually thrive on it a little bit.
Yeah, it's old school, but it works. There are times where he'll say something on our pregame show, and I'm like, ooh, do the guys hear this out here before they come out for stretch? Or, do their parents hear this and it gets back to them? And then I'm like, well, you know what? It's probably the exact same thing that he would say right to them, so I don't think he cares.
Well, if you deal in honesty, I've always found as a coach over the years, if you deal in honesty, things, it might seem harsh in the moment, and yet at the same time, you then can make corrections quickly. You're not dancing around something. You're not saying, hey, you know what, you're hitting okay, but maybe your hitting really sucks right now, and you really need to get better. And he'll try to motivate you, but I think there's also the handout that says, and I'm here to help you too. Even though in his case, it's very straightforward. It's very sober. It's not going to be, it's not going to be, I'm going to give you an arm around the shoulder and, give you a hug and all that. But, there is that there too, I think. But he does have a really interesting way to deal with players.
No, yeah, you're exactly right. There's no time to mess around. I mean, guys come in here in this win now league. It's not a developmental league. They're expected to perform. If they don't perform, they're going to go. But think you're absolutely right. The way that he gets his point across, there's a very caring person there that wants to push the right buttons and cares about the players, and it's all about getting the best out of them, and they continue to do it.
And he's a full-time manager. I mean, this guy, the network of players that he knows around the country is unbelievable, and the fact that he can pluck them out, like Harrell the other week, who's down becoming a social studies teacher down in, North Carolina somewhere, who was part of the Revs championship last year, comes in, pitched a complete game in his second game, and is one of the Revs' best pitchers. I mean, he pulls them out. I mean, so you're going, where in the world does he get all that kind of information? But he keeps his eyes on that. Now, the Revs come back home tomorrow night, playing Lancaster, the Stormers here at the stadium. We're looking forward to bringing you those games here. I think 6:10 is the time there for us on air. But so where do you go now? You finish up this part of the first half, but you want to make sure there's no drop-off. Any thoughts from Rick on that?
Yeah, that was, he gave a rather brief speech to the team yesterday before the celebration got underway, and, just told them how proud he is of them and that this is a great place to play. There are players that want to get here to York, and they can't because we have this roster full of talented players. But the main thing was to not get complacent. Complacency breeds mediocrity. Last year they did a great job of avoiding that, but even still, now last year was a weird situation. We had the tragedy in Southern Maryland that everybody had to witness, and that was really tough. And things got kind of long in August, but in early September they flipped the switch and turned it back on. But that is the challenge. That is the goal, is to not get complacent. And there's so many things to play for. I mean, you want to put the best record forward. Guys want to, put their best seasons together to get noticed and get picked up. It's a group that, and I don't mean playing for themselves. It's a group that loves to play for each other. They love to be around each other every day. The celebration yesterday, it kind of morphed onto the field, and it became this big wiffle ball game in the outfield. The guys just got done playing, their 57th game of baseball or whatever, and they went down to the field and played wiffle ball, and that's how they celebrated the championship together. So we've never won both halves in a season, so maybe that's a goal that'll help springboard them forward a little bit. But I don't foresee any drop off. This team loves being around each other, and such a fun and talented group to be around.
Well, you and Ronnie will be doing the game tomorrow night, starting 6:10 airtime. First pitch at 6:30. Of course, you can go to YorkRevolution.com, check out tickets. There are plenty available for tomorrow night and Wednesday and Thursday. What better way to head into the July 4th weekend than to watch the Revs here at home every single night here at the stadium? And Darrell Henry doing the call every night, and just nobody better than him. I'm telling you what, ladies and gentlemen, from a guy that has to sit next to him, a guy is unbelievably prepared and just delivers it so well. Just a great broadcast to listen to. And Darrell, looking forward to the end of this first half, and now the second half of the season coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun right here on WOYK.
It's just getting started. Thanks, Gary.
Thanks so much, Darrell. Have a great day, and we'll catch you tomorrow, okay?
All right, you too, guys.
Take care. Darrell Henry, voice of the revolution, right here on WOYK this morning. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More news you might have missed, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. It's a Monday morning.
Fox Sports Update.
3 strikeouts in the inning, 5 of the first 6. And Tarek Skubal now has 6 strikeouts in his first 7 hitters.
What a Sunday night baseball game for Detroit Tigers starting pitcher Tarek Skubal on ESPN.
He's gone another strikeout for Tarek the Great here tonight. 7 in the game and 6 in a row. Tarek Skubal, 8 strikeouts in 3 innings. He's got a dozen strikeouts. So he's after his 13th strikeout. And there it is, called strike 3.
On ESPN, Tarek Skubal, the American League Cy Young Award winner last season, last night became the first Tigers pitcher in 95 years to win a 10th straight decision. Skubal allowed only 1 hit through 7 innings against the Twins, finished with 13 strikeouts. The Tigers, who were tied with the reigning World Series champion Dodgers for the best record of the major leagues, scored a 3-0 win over the Athletics. Skubal, the first Tigers pitcher since 1930 to win 10 straight decisions. Over his last 15 starts, Skubal has a record of 10-0 with a 1.74 earned run average. Golf, Rocket Classic in Detroit not decided until the 5th playoff hole. 20-year-old Aldrich Potgater scored his first PGA Tour victory with an 18-foot birdie putt. Soccer, Inter Miami out of the Club World Cup. Shut out Sunday by Paris Saint-Germain 4-0. No more teams from Major League Soccer left in the Club World Cup. Quarterfinals of the Gold Cup, the United States men's national team scored a 4-3 win in a shootout over Costa Rica. Next, the U.S. will play Guatemala Wednesday. WNBA, Angel Reese became the first player in league history with 15 or more rebounds in 4 straight games. Reese had 16 rebounds to go with 24 points Sunday in the Chicago Sky's 92-85 win over the Los Angeles Sparks. You can download the Fox Sports Podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. I'm Jared Bax.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
And welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here at 7:24. Of course, the Orioles won 2 out of 3 over the weekend. The Revs won 2 out of 3 over the weekend, so it was a good weekend for both of them. The Orioles scoring, was it 22 runs the other night? They were up 11, they were down 6-0. And then they got back to 7-5. Then they took the lead 8-7. Then they took the lead 11-8, and then after that they just went off and won 22-8. And next day they got clobbered, and then yesterday came out and won a game to win that series over the weekend against who was it? Tampa Bay.
Yes.
So yeah. So the Orioles, who I'm wearing an Orioles shirt today, that's why I mentioned that. But anyway, some news you might have missed. This is news that just it might or might not be true. A little bit of fun that we have with this, but. For example, 81% of Americans want age limits for politicians and age minimums for Leonardo DiCaprio girlfriends. So that's one of the things, because he's been known to date him pretty young. Yes. I mean, yeah, he's a little older now. And Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, is suing Fox News for defamation. Apparently, Fox reported that his hair was just average.
Average.
And Newsom, who prides himself on his hair, much like President Trump, he wasn't going to take any more. I mean, he's had it, frankly. KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, was named the worst restaurant chain in the United States.
Really?
Shocking, I tell you. Using only the highest quality food comes in a bucket. I mean, there it is. So there you have it. The highest quality food, it comes in a bucket for you. So
it's so true.
There might be
when
more.
you put it like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the world's oldest rocks. Another story were formed 4.16 billion years ago. Billions and billions of years. Yes. Now you can tell the rocks are old because all their favorite shows are on CBS. So that's how you find out how old they are. The shows are still on CBS, and go there and check. You see, that's how you tell that. Let's see what else we have. The Dalai Lama turns 90 this week.
Wow.
The Dalai Lama, yeah, and he's already making plans for his successor. Thank God. He's not going to wait until the last second and then give it to Kamala Harris. So he's not going to do that. No, it's not happening. Massachusetts cops used crackers to catch a wild pig.
What?
Yeah, Massachusetts cops used crackers to catch a wild pig. Then they thanked the Oak Ridge boys for their help and let them resume the tour. So that's what they did. Yeah, they did that. Yeah, at least that's what it says right here. Let's see what else. A new robotic arm will speed up the process of finishing South Dakota's massive Crazy Horse monument. Remember, we talked last week about Custer's last stand. Well, Crazy Horse is the one that did Custer in. Until President Trump cancels it and replaces it with one of Rush Limbaugh. So that would be That was what they say. That's what happened. I don't know if that's true. Mike Tyson,
Yes.
turns 59
birthday.
today.
Mm-hmm.
He still holds the title of Jake Paul's youngest opponent ever. Yeah,
Youngest.
Jake Paul fights him pretty young.
The social media guy.
Yes. The Oasis reunion tour starts in Wales on Friday and ends in a fist fight on Saturday. So
You're right.
that's what will happen next there. F1, Mark had that earlier, top
movie.
this weekend's box office. I think it was 55 million or 555 million, whatever it was, 55 million, I
It
believe.
was a lot. Yeah.
If you haven't already seen it, it's basically Fast and Furious, but in a circle.
Yes.
Okay. And then,
But in a circle.
F1 topped this weekend's box office, thanks in no small part to old people who thought it was about bingo. Yeah, that's apparently that was a little mix up right
There's no
there.
F in bingo.
No, that's exactly right. Let's see. What else do we have? Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez
Yes.
got married. That was the big marriage over the weekend. Now, the ceremony was followed by a lush reception and then the world's tiniest rocket launch. So that's what they say here. And finally, there's two final stories. The composer of think about that one. The composer of the Mission Impossible theme passed away.
Lalo Fish. We had that on Friday, yeah.
His legacy will live on every time Tom Cruise makes a movie where he dangles. Yeah, and the sixth Jurassic Park sequel opens on Wednesday. That's this week. At this point, the franchise has survived longer than dinosaurs did.
Yeah, practically.
And Steven Spielberg says he'll never retire. The next time he directs a Jurassic Park movie, the only dinosaur in the set will be him. So that's a little bit of that. And,
interesting stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, all of that news you might have missed, all here on the Gary Sutton Show. When we come back, we had a rewrap of some of the big stories of the day. And Mark, what else do we have?
Well, we are going to delve into some odd facts that you may not be aware of. Some of them are mind-blowing. Others are just quirky. And this hour brought to you by?
This hour is brought to you by the Bison Farm. And, the Bison Farm is a locally owned place. It's right there in Mount Wolf. And Central Family Restaurant, Augie's both offer bison burgers from their product. If you want to stop over there and get one of those bison burgers, you could do that now at Central Family Restaurant. They're open today. Augie's will be open tomorrow through Saturday, and you can try the bison burger there. But you can also buy their products through their market stands at New Easter Market and Central Market. They carry a full range of products from ground bison and burgers to steaks and roasts. Check them out at thebisonfarm.com. And by the way, bison is the healthiest of the red meats. And there's a link to the website that shows some benefits of bison over beef. You don't know what it is. It has a great taste, by the way. It's bisonfarm.com/whybison. The Bison Farm, the proud sponsor of this hour, right here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, where it is 7:30, time for news.
Hold your breath. Make a wish. Count to 3.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination.
So it was on this date,
We'll be
54 years ago.
with us.
The year was 1971, and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was released. Gene Wilder played Willy Wonka.
Who I thought was the best ever at it. And was a nice one, not too weird. Johnny Depp didn't make it for me.
It was... the movie always kind of creeped me out.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
It's not a comedy. It's not a kid's show.
No.
It's and the cast was just amazing. Jack Albertson is in it.
I think drugs probably helped, but no, it's just a weird, a weird thing. And Gene Wilder was the least offensive, weird Willy Wonka, of anybody. I guess people went to see it, but
I didn't do it. And when it was on TV, I watched like 5 minutes, and I was like, this is weird.
Right. Well. In the news, just recapping some of the big news that has happened over the weekend, the president's big, beautiful bill made it out on a late night vote of committee for Republicans. It was close. This bill has not been exactly widely acclaimed by everybody. Of course, the Democrats vote against it, but they're going to vote against it no matter what. But bottom line was, 2 of the Republicans voted against it too. Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina and Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky both voted against it in committee, and the president lashed out against Tom Tillis. And Rand Paul was kind of a no vote right from the beginning. And the president's been careful not to heap too much on him. But the president was working the phones from the Oval Office Saturday night. But it made it through committee. Now, the 940-page, one big, beautiful bill that made it through the other night, they now want to get this thing passed. But here again, this is, and again, I would say this for Republicans as well as what we've said for Democrats. When you want to pass this through before everybody has had a chance to read it and digest it, especially all of us, and apparently it takes like 17 hours to read through this whole thing. It's like War and Peace, all right? Yeah, I mean, it really is. And they want to pass this through. Remember how much we heaped on to Nancy Pelosi? She said, well, you got to pass it before you can see what's inside it. Well, that's kind of what the Republicans are doing here, and it's no more right when they do it than when the Democrats did it as well. And I find it to be kind of bad, to be frank. But the president is looking to get this done by July 4th. And so many Republicans pass it through. And it's really a make or break moment for the Republicans right now because it's the key piece of legislation that the president wants through. Now, if you're not sure what it is, at its core, and it's a very complicated series of GOP priorities that the president came out with, at its core, it would make permanent many of the tax breaks from Trump's first term that would otherwise expire by the year's end if Congress fails to act, resulting in a potential tax increase on Americans. Now, the bill would add new breaks, including no taxes on tips, and commit $350 billion to national security, including for Trump's mass deportation agenda, which, again, has been widely hailed by some and widely criticized by others in the country. But the cutbacks to Medicaid, food stamps, and green energy investments, which a top Democrat, Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon, said would be a death sentence for America's wind and solar industries, are also causing dissent within GOP ranks because there are many GOP senators whose people believe in this stuff and whose states believe in this stuff, and they don't want to see those kind of cuts. And the Republicans are relying on the reductions to offset the lost tax revenue, but some lawmakers say the cuts go too far, particularly for people receiving health care through Medicaid. Meanwhile, conservatives worried about the nation's debt are pushing for steeper cuts. They're saying, well, you're putting us further in the debt with some of this. We want more cuts, and that's where Rand Paul sits right now. I think Tom Tillis as well. Tillis said he spoke with Trump late Friday night explaining his concerns. Paul of Kentucky had been opposed to the bill's provision to raise the nation's debt limit by $5 trillion, which I laud him for because I don't think we need to keep raising the debt limit. GOP Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, who initially voted no, switched hours after private talks to agree to advance the bill. And so there you go. So that's where it stands right now.
Lisa Murkowski also.
Well, they're always the same. She and the lady from up in Maine, they're always the same.
And Josh Hawley.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, they're the ones. Josh Hawley also was against it, and he voted to get it through committee.
Right.
So now that it's
get it out there for a general vote in
right,
Congress.
and that's going to be. But you're right. Is Susan Collins going to be the one to stop this?
Susan Collins and Murkowski are always there. They're
but
again, if it doesn't matter if the Democrats do it, doesn't matter if Republicans do it. It's still wrong to rush something through when there are key elements of that people may or may not really understand at this particular point. And I find that we usually, when a bill does that, there's usually something in it later on that we go, oh, how'd that get in there? And that's what they do. They sneak things in, and that's one of the reasons that Congress is so stinking unpopular, frankly. But
one of the things that happened last year was when Biden and the Democrats tried to get something passed through the Senate, I believe, and the parliamentarian ruled against them. Said that it could not be done in this way. And they weren't happy about it, but they lived up to it. And now the parliamentarian is saying there are certain things in this bill that cannot be passed that way. And it remains to be seen whether the Republicans are going to do the same.
Well, I don't know if it's a good, bad thing. You know, we also had a thing where you weren't going to be able to pay back your debt for college, and the Supreme Court ruled against that. And Mr. Biden went, oh, I don't think so. I'll do it anyway.
So the rules, well, I mean, they had PPP loans, and they had a congressman who had.
All I'm saying is it's the same club.
Well,
it's the same club. There's no.
Well, here's the difference.
Yeah,
the difference is they lived up to it.
No difference.
If they don't live up to it, it's not the same.
Same club.
It's
same
not
club.
The same.
It's called the swamp. And when they want to, they all use the same basic techniques to get things through. And they are the biggest bunch of hypocrites that ever lived in this earth.
But only the Democrats didn't do that.
No,
and now
they have done it,
and the Republicans haven't done it yet.
Yeah,
but
they
will see.
They will.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. I'm not giving a break to either side, but I'm not going to sit here. Democrats are good, Republicans are bad, or Republicans are good, Democrats bad. I'm only pointing out the truth, which is that they are the biggest bunch of hypocrites that I have ever seen in my life in totem. That's what Congress is, and that's why we need to, maybe get term limits or something down the line.
Well, that's unconstitutional.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying,
right?
We need to get it, meaning we don't have it yet.
You think the Congress is going to vote itself out of a job?
No, not at all. Not at all. But maybe if people become a little bit more unpredictable in the way they vote and quit being lemmings and running over the cliff behind each other, maybe we will.
Well, that's what's going on.
What other news do we have?
Isn't that what's going on now, though? I think
there's a movement. I think there is a movement now to more independence. I think more people are starting to say, well, what have you done for me lately? I think we saw it in a vote in the cities, especially this last time, where people were saying, well, my situation hasn't gotten any better with the Democrats. Let me try the Republicans. Well, I don't know if it's getting a whole lot better under Republicans right now either, in terms of what they're proposing nationally. Inflation's up. You got some things like that going on. So it's just it's a new chapter in the book.
When a party wins and they have as much power as the Republicans have now, you pass your agenda. That's what you ran on. And this is so, they feel like if they don't do it, that they're going to be held accountable.
And they will be.
And Tom Tillis feels if he does do it, he'll be held accountable. So,
well, every state is different because, and you make a great point there. Every state is different in the sense of you have Republicans who are in blue states in some cases, or in states that are maybe purple, maybe half blue, half red.
Right.
And, so you get in a situation where you say, I know the people of my state. I know how many people are covered by Medicaid. North Carolina, for example, has more of a poverty population that relies on Medicaid than maybe other states do, which was one of the reasons that he's probably standing up for that.
A lot of red states.
Exactly. Yeah. And there are a number of other states that have the same thing. So when you just say red or blue, you can't just stop at that. You have to look down and peel down inside the onion there, and you're going to find a lot of different issues. And people say, wait a second, my state is unique in this way, or my state needs these different things. So And the Medicaid is really a big stickling point in this whole bill right now as they try to pass it. That'll have a lot of debate coming up next couple of days. But to try to get it done by the 4th, I don't know if it's going to happen.
Be tough.
That's Friday, and that gives you 4 days to get all this done. And I don't think the Democrats are, first of all, in any mood to do that. And I think that Republicans want to be very careful in what it is they pass here in the long run. And I think there's a lot more people behind the scenes, other than just Tillis and Paul, who have some concerns about this particular bill.
I think it's 3. I think they need. I think if 3 don't vote for it, it's not going to pass. So Paul is 1, Tillis is another. So you just need 1 more.
Out of Massey that votes.
He's not a senator. He's
is he a congressman? I'm sorry, I had Massey as a senator.
So the other one would be Collins or
Murkowski.
And
maybe Hawley.
Maybe.
Hawley voted to get it out there. But a lot of times what these guys do is say, I'll make you a deal.
Yes.
I'll get it out there for general. I'll still listen to you. I'll talk to you. But, you know how I'm feeling.
Well, and then, I think it's one of Trump's favorite words, leverage.
Yeah.
If you don't play along, you try to leverage, but you got to be careful with that.
Well, and what he did with Tillis was he said, we're going to primary you. He said, we're going to put somebody in against you to primary you. And Tillis said, okay, that's fine, I quit. So he's quitting at the end of this term. And he said, that's at the end of the term, I'm done, so you can primary all you want.
So technically, that's sort of what you're advocating in a way, right? You're not advocating, you're advocating being more unpredictable in your vote.
Yes.
Tillis would have normally been a count on
vote.
Republican vote. So he's being a little bit more unpredictable, but he realizes it's probably going to cost him his job.
And the president doing what presidents do, they put the heavy hand down through the phone calls and leverage and all that. And they're saying, if you don't vote for this, you know what, you're going to fall out of favor here. We may primary you or whatever, which is what presidents do. And yet, I think, obviously, Tillis is getting word from his constituents that we got a lot of Medicaid people on the rolls here. And you go out there and you change Medicaid a whole lot, it's going to change our lives. And so that's what you fight as a representative in Congress. And I think it's going to be interesting. Yeah.
Here's a question. So the whole idea is that they're using some of these cuts,
right?
This $800 billion or whatever it's been rumored to be, to cover, quote unquote, some of the cost of the tax cuts. Well, I mean, why not? They could have Tillis. I don't know if they could have Tillis's vote, then they'd lose maybe another vote. If they said, okay, fine, we'll, leave another $100 billion in there,
right?
And just make the bill cost more,
right? Well, and here's the other part, and this goes back to my point.
I mean, what's the difference between $3 trillion and $4 trillion?
I know. Yeah, what's a trillion among friends? But it goes back to this. Republicans used to represent smaller government, allegedly. Okay, we want less government in our lives. Democrats always say, well, the federal government has a bigger role to play, and that's fair. I mean, you can have that debate about the role of the federal government or the role of the state governments and so forth. We've had that forever. However, Republicans have like $3.8 trillion more in debt that we're going to go into this whole thing, and at least $2 million, okay, or $2 trillion. And like Mark said, it could be another trillion or so. So this idea that we're spending more, that we're going to add more to the debt ceiling and all that is not what Republicans stand for. But see, that's what I'm saying. Republicans don't really stand for anything anymore in that regard. And so this idea that it's again, Republican in name only. I hate to use that word, but that's where they are. I don't know that they have the core values that they stand on anymore if they truly believe in that, and I don't think they do. And Democrats, I'm not sure what they believe in either, other than more government. And so Republicans says, yeah, me too. Okay, that's the Me Too party. Anyway, we'll take a break. We'll come back with more here on the Gary Sutton Show at 7:48. is a happy song.
It is.
Like this song, Starland Vocal Band.
It was a...
Gonna find my baby, gonna hold her tight, gonna have some afternoon delight.
Never know what that's about, by the way.
I think it has something to do with
Gonna give her a hug and a
sports.
kiss, I think. Yeah. No? Oh, I thought it was Afternoon Delight was a hug and a kiss. Holding hands.
I hadn't heard that.
But then you think about what Afternoon Delight could be. It does.
It was like a
your imagination.
one-hit wonder group, and they were friends of John Denver.
This sounds John Denverish, doesn't it?
It was.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
By the way, we're talking about deficit and SMARC, and Albright College over near Reading. They have a deficit right now, and it's threatening to hurt their college badly, maybe even close it. They're going to auction off most of their artwork in July as the private liberal arts school continues to address their deficit. But what the collection includes, how much it might be worth, and what pieces hold local and regional significance remains unclear. College administrators and auctioneers did not answer a Spotlight PA inquiry seeking an estimated value for the 2008 pieces in the Albright's collection, most of which are works on paper and not expected to yield significant financial return, quote unquote. A college spokesperson said. Reading Public Museum, which has been in talks with Albright since late last year, wouldn't say what pieces it might acquire. The artwork hasn't been properly stored, which has compromised some of the pieces, said James Gaddy, Vice President of Administration at Albright, but he would not say how many pieces have been damaged. Administrators said the auction company continued to comb the collection to determine what will be sold. The collection going to auction from Albright's Friedman Gallery was founded and funded by alum Doris C. Friedman and opened on the college's campus in 1976. I'm not sure she would feel that great about it. Featuring works by 25 artists, including Nancy Grossman, Sylvia Stone, Sam Francis, and Ben Schoenzeit, who I have no clue about who they are. Must be famous up in that area. The gallery primarily displayed contemporary work by American artists and over the years amassed a collection of prints, photographs, paintings, and sculptures. But isn't it kind of unusual that you're trying to work on your deficit by selling your artwork that your university had, and then you find out you didn't store it all that great, so it might not be worth it.
Well, a lot of colleges have a lot of stuff, a lot of valuable assets.
Exactly right. Yeah.
I saw that Alan posted
Alan Vandersloot.
Yes, I his comment is a good one. We were talking about vote counting in the Senate, and he mentioned that Vice President J.D. Vance could break a 50-50 tie.
Yeah, the Vice President also is the President of the Senate, and so when there's a tie, much like Kamala Harris did last term, she did a lot of voting on tie breaking. That's what J.D. Vance would do if there was a tie at 50-50. So he is exactly correct on that, which I wrote him a note back and said, way to go, Alan, you have it.
I wonder if that would provide cover for some of the yes votes, if they said, well, not to worry, we can arrange it so that the vice president casts the deciding vote.
It used to be that they had that all figured out, although anymore I wonder with some of these fools that we watch that they even know. But most of the time they have it all figured out and they say, okay, now listen, you vote this way.
Yeah.
You can vote no. You can vote no, for example, and that's okay because we got J.D. Vance there to vote us through.
Right.
So whenever you have control of the Senate, that's what happens. You got the president of the Senate who can go in there and vote and be the decider.
And the only other comment I would have about this is I'm wondering if, because this is, a key part of the president's agenda, if, the holiday doesn't help him a little bit. In that people getting ready for the 4th, it is on a Friday, so a lot of people thinking about a 4-day week.
That's a great point.
Maybe, maybe we'll leave on Thursday. Not us.
But the senators.
Metaphorically, or, America, maybe leaving a little bit early, if they could get it done a little bit before and just not worry about it till after.
And people's minds are not on this stuff right now.
That's exactly, yes.
But the Senate and the House have to be. Because this is the signature piece. You have to understand, ladies and gentlemen.
He set the deadline.
This is it. This is the signature piece of legislation that if the president doesn't get this through, he's done. All right? I mean, he is a lame duck for the next couple of years. In addition to the other things he has going on, heaven knows there's plenty of that with the tariffs and everything else. So this signature piece of legislation, if this doesn't get done, and everybody knows it, the president is hurting. And, for any president, think about President Biden. When he was trying to push through his first big piece of legislation, if it didn't get through, he was done for the rest of his presidency. Well, it did get through. Again, it was very close, and that's what's going to happen on this as well, because we are in a 50-50 time, and, anything that goes through is going to go through by a couple of votes. So that's what's going to happen.
The other big story I think that's going to be building this week is the Diddy trial and deliberations. The final closing comments were on Friday, and here's what we can expect this week.
Closing arguments wrapped Friday in Sean Diddy Combs' federal trial, with his defense attorney, Mark Agnifilo, delivering a rebuttal to sex trafficking and racketeering charges that could send the music mogul to prison for life. Agnifilo admitted to Combs' domestic violence against ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, seen in a 2016 hotel video, but denied any link to forced sex acts, arguing the relationship was consensual and part of a swinger's lifestyle. The prosecution, in a 5-hour closing, called Combs the leader of a criminal enterprise who used money and influence to hide abuse. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
Now, what his attorneys are saying, as near as I can figure, is basically that they took what was people engaging in some pretty nasty activity here on their own.
Right.
And it was their acting as adults, or not as adults, but acting, on very adult things.
It was unseemly, but
they had a choice to do or not to do, and that's where it was. And so that's what the jury's going to have to decide here over the next several days, if the state has made its case that he was running this criminal enterprise and forcing people to be part of these parties and sex trafficking and all that kind of stuff.
I'm going to throw something out there and say that he's not a sympathetic figure.
No, he's not.
It's not like OJ, for example. He played a kind of a buffoon in the movies. He was a sports hero.
There was a time when he was really well respected in the country.
Absolutely, and most of America only knew that.
Remember, he's doing the Macy's commercials and stuff
the
like
Hertz
that.
Jumping over.
Oh,
yes,
mainstream.
So this guy Diddy, though, he is not. He's not sympathetic.
No. Hey, by the way, this hour has been brought to you by the Bison Farm. Don't forget to check out the Bison Burgers at both Central Family Restaurant and Augie's, where you can find them both. You can also buy their products at the Central Market and also at the New Eastern Market on Fridays. Next hour, it's going to be Major Joe Decree with us here on the Gary Sutton Show, and also Mark Hendrickson. All coming up next, right after news at the top of the hour. It is 8 o'clock.
York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back again?
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome back to the final hour on a Monday morning of the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK, where it's 8:05. We are the main street of York, and this is where you should start your day with us. Right here, live from Wellspan Park on Brooks Robinson Plaza, where it is a toasty 77 degrees right now at 8:05 here on a Monday morning, the last day of June 2025. It is the halfway through the year today.
It's crazy.
We start a brand new half tomorrow.
I mean, June really went fast.
It did. And so now our first 6 months out of the way. We're 14 days shy of 6 months with this program on,
yes.
and trying to move it forward, obviously, hoping you will be part of that. And there's some ways you can do that. By the way, you can text our show today at 833-478-4729 and let us know if you think that today is National Social Media Day. Has social media been generally good or bad for the country, in your opinion? I mean, there might be, we obviously have good and bad things we think about it, but generally, overall, do you think it's been good or bad for the country here on National Social Media Day? At Gary Sutton Show on Facebook, we ask you the question about bipartisanship. Is that dead in Washington, D.C.? I gave you the case of Tom Tillis, who voted against the president's package that he has, the big, beautiful bill in the Senate committee. And it still came out, and now he says, hey, president's putting pressure on me, I retire. End of this session, I'm retiring, I'm done, and that's that. So we have a lot of that going on. But this show, by the way, being sponsored by presenting sponsor, Barley Snyder, Attorneys at Law. Barley Snyder, a strategically focused law firm. They represent businesses and organizations and individuals in all major areas of civil law, and they have offices throughout Pennsylvania and Maryland. They have more than 130 attorneys who have all kinds of varied expertise to help you with innovative and effective representation to a wide range of clients in all kinds of areas like hospitality, employment, employee benefits, cybersecurity, business, immigration, municipal authority, trusts and estates, real estate and construction, tax, senior living, healthcare, the whole thing. And they are ready to help you today. And what makes them so good, these people are well experienced, great knowledge, great experience represented among their practice areas, and strong individual relationships too, and personal attention. They are essential elements that they use at Barley Snyder. We have a Barley Snyder right here in New York at 100 East Market Street. Give them a call today at 846-8888. They're open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Barley Snyder, Attorneys at Law. Check them out at barley.com. And this 8 o'clock hour mark, being presented by Poblano's Tex-Mex Grill. Yeah, Pablo Ayala and Lachelle Rios. They are a couple right now. They are fiancés, by the way, are knocking it out of the park with some of the best Tex-Mex food that you are ever, and I mean ever, going to eat. And I'm talking about 11 to 8 every day, but Sunday, they have great Tex-Mex food. Now, they're going to be closed on July 4th this week. I will tell you that ahead of time. But when it comes to a steak bowl or shrimp tacos.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Sweet potato fries. I would try the salt, by the way, on the sweet potato fries, which caramelizes. It's unbelievable. Churros. They've got chicharron sandwiches, which are pork, which has a crust on the outside, and it's moist.
It's fat.
It's moist on the inside. It's really
nice,
good.
Nice, crispy fat.
Their rolls are incredible. Empanadas, where they have steak, or they have, ground beef and cheese and chicken, and the 3 different kinds
You're
they have
making
right
my
there
mouth
inside.
water.
Yeah, and a little bit of a sweetness there. They've got takeout for you. You can call 717-893-7781. You can check out their whole menu at toasttab.com. That's toasttab.com. Again, they're open Monday through Saturday, closed this week on July 4th. Right? They do say on here they're going to maybe have some holiday hours, so we'll wait and see what they post on that. But 11 to 8. And by the way, if you mention that you listened to this and heard it on the Gary Sutton Show and you go in, along with your entree, they'll give you a free drink. Your entree will, you pay for your entree, and then you get a free drink with that just for saying, I heard this on the Gary Sutton Show. Get in there this week like I will be.
What would you choose? for your free drink?
My free drink is always unsweetened iced tea. Unsweetened iced tea.
You like unsweetened?
I love unsweetened iced tea. Nothing in it.
Really?
Nothing. Every now and then I'll put a little lemonade and make kind of a cheap Arnold Palmer, but that's
if I have stuff to do, I'm choosing a cherry Coke.
There you go. By the way, they also have Taco Tuesday, so you can get in there for Taco Tuesdays, but they've got burritos, you name it. And I saw one area listed as the best Tex-Mex, Spanish, Mexican kind of food you're going to find anywhere in the area. And I know a lot of people love Mexican food. Go to, if you haven't done it yet, Poblano's Tex-Mex Grill. They're at 2150 White Street right here in New York. They're in suite number 7. Just look for Poblano's. You'll see the Poblano's name, and then right next to it, a Poblano's pepper. And they are right there. Lachelle Rios and Pablo Ayala are running that, and they're just doing a great job. Give them a call today, 717-893-7781, 2150 White Street in New York. They are the sponsor of this hour. I'm out of breath. That's our hour. Anyway.
We got a guest.
We have a guest, and he is Major Joe Decree. He's retired now, but he's a veteran of Kosovo, Afghanistan, Iraq. He is in Montana. He is now a pastor of a church where he speaks to veterans who come to that church, and he speaks in a language they understand. But he's with us here on a Monday morning, and he likes to take a look at things through the eyes of a vet. There's been a lot of arguing back and forth here, Joe, on did our bombs wipe out the ability to produce a nuclear weapon in Iran? And now we see a second report that comes out that says, well, it damaged it pretty badly, but they still have a chance to rebuild it. They think they shipped a lot of this uranium out to some other place where it's been kept safe, and now they can go back to work, starting it over again. Does it matter at this point whether they obliterated, the president continued to double down, triple down, and they obliterated it, or just damaged it real badly? What are the Iranians thinking right now? It looks like they've kind of had a come-to-Jesus meeting, so forth with Israel and the United States, at least for the moment. Talk about the thinking over there. You've been around that part of the world. You know how the thinking goes. What are they thinking right now?
They're trying to save face. Yeah. Has it been obliterated? I mean, there's no way for us to definitively know right now without, getting somebody in on the inside and saying, yeah, it's pretty well done. But we'll know very shortly if that's true. I don't understand this rush to make it a failure of oh no, it's they can just keep on trucking. No, they can't. They absolutely cannot. And if they believe they can, they need to go much slower. So this notion that they'll be up and running again in a couple months, it's complete horse crap.
Yeah.
Because there's a B-2 with their name on it that's fixed. I mean, it came from Missouri. They can't cover that angle.
Yeah.
So even if they can, they're going to go way, way slower, and they have to build the security. They don't have an air defense system anymore. They've got to build security. They got to rebuild a facility. Even if they have the knowledge and the uranium, that doesn't mean they can do anything with it. They've got to rebuild a facility with security in mind. They got to go deeper underground or into the mountains. All those things are logistical and engineering problems that must be solved. They are more than just a couple months from making something. We don't need to worry about that in the immediate future.
You just
we need to keep an eye on it to see what they do with it. But like I said, they can't cover it. The next
right.
target that they can't, or the next angle they can't cover is from space.
Yeah.
We get a space drop.
Well,
what are you going to do?
You just mentioned something that was so important that I remember seeing planes being taken out and air defenses being shut down. I mean, that in itself, just to rebuild that and get that back up and running so they have some way of defending themselves, because right now they're sitting there defenseless to Israel and to the United States. And
I love gun camera tape. What was the gun camera tape? What planes did we take out on the runways?
Yeah.
F-14s. That's the best they can do. That fighter is 50 years old. I mean, we retired them in the 90s. They came out in the 70s. We retired them in the 90s, or maybe early 2000s. That's the fighter. I'm not sure how the Air Force classifies that between Generation 3 and 4 fighters, or the first one of the Generation 4 fighters, or something. But I mean, check it out, man. That is 1980s technology. That was the bulk of their Air Force. So, and even the Russians who like them haven't given them MiG-31s that might have been able.
So anyway, that's where we stand right now. I was really taken back by by the fact that the response of the Middle East and other countries there was not so much, geez, what are you doing? You can't go in there. It's a sovereign country. They're all kind of sitting back quietly going, you know, yeah, have a little shot at it. You're doing the dirty work that we won't do, but, you know, we don't like them either. So that is that. Am I reading that correctly? They kind of were saying
I think you're spot on, brother.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about that part of the world. Everything's about appearances.
Right.
And being able to walk away from, everybody needs to be able to walk away from the table and feel like they won. And that's more important than the deal that gets struck. So here's the thing, you know, all these devout Muslim guys, and I've spent a lot of time around many, and there's a lot of you know, I've worked with a lot of Jordanian SF guys that I think are really stellar human beings. I used to look in the papers for years after I quit working with them, hoping that I would not read their names, you know, or find out that Jordanian SF guys got crushed. You know, I love some of those guys that I worked with, but you know, I spent 30 days in Kuwait one time, which is one of the easiest Arab groups to understand because they're so most Kuwaitis don't have to work because there's so much oil. They're all subsidized by the oil. You know, the Filipinos and Indians, Eastern Indians, that is their workforce, their manual labor force. So the buildings get put up by Filipinos and Indians. You know, the household staff are Filipinos and Indians. The Kuwaitis don't do a lot of work that way. You know, there's not a lot of plumbers and stuff. So they're one of the easiest folks to understand. All right, it's because they're wealthy, they're small. You know, they kind of like us, so we can talk to them. And they're devout Muslims. They, you know, Friday night everything shuts down so they can go to mosque. You know, they don't drink ish. And most of those guys that I ran into, you know, in these really nice houses, you know, there's a room guy, like a man cave. And in it, there's very often alcohol. There's very often, you know, internet access to pornography that comes through a satellite because the government controls the landline internet. You know, there's a place where Muslims don't have to be Muslims in their own house because it's that restrictive. So in the daytime, they're going to tell you, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do the other thing. Oh, you can't, you know, violate my Muslim brothers. At night, they do what they do.
Right.
And that's kind of the thing. The Saudis don't like the Iranians. I don't know that anybody really likes the Iranians. The biggest problem in the Middle East in recent times is, you know, when we took out Saddam, we left we left the left side guardrail open against Iran. And so people have been trying to fill that, and I don't think it's any accident that, and I was part of that operation, but I don't think that's any accident that, you know, in creating that power vacuum, you know, Hezbollah and Hamas, you know, rise to power very rapidly after that.
So when we come back, can you stick with us for one more segment this morning?
Yeah, if you want, man.
Yeah, I'd like to keep you in for one more segment. I want to talk about, so what happens now to those proxy groups? To Hezbollah, to Hamas, to the Houthis.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Where do they go next? We're going to ask Joe Decree that when we come back. The world through the eyes of a vet. He's had some discussions before at Quantico about strategy and those kind of things. And so we're asking him through his eyes, what's next for those groups that Iran was backed up? Hey, Iran was like the mothership for those groups. So where do those groups now go? What do they do? Can they still inflict a lot of damage on Israel? We'll ask him that question when we return here on the Gary Sutton Show. Joe Decree, the world through the eyes of a vet, with more right after this.
Churchill fires. Swinging a bouncing ball toward the middle. Arocho to his left. He's got it. He throws to first. It's in time. Game over. And the Rebs are 2025 first half North Division champions. The defending champs back in the postseason for the 10th time in franchise history.
10th time since 2007 when they were founded here, and we did the opening game here that night. And in fact, the cornerstone right out here just off our studio, 2007 when this stadium was built. We watched it that morning, by the way, when they put the macadam down on the day they had the game. Yeah, they were walking stuff into the stadium. It was incredible. And to think what they have now, these 18 years later, and the Rebs winning the first half championship yesterday over Staten Island, winning 2 out of 3 over the weekend, 37-20 now. And they will be back home again tomorrow night. They're off today against the Stormers here at the stadium tomorrow night. Lancaster, as the War of the Roses continues, and it's been a good War of the Roses so far this year, as Lancaster has been certainly up to the challenge. But that will be here tomorrow night. 6:10 is airtime. 6:30 is first pitch tomorrow night. Back with Major Joe Decree right now, a veteran of Kosovo, Afghanistan, and Iraq. He's been in the part of the world where Iran is. You know, it's been amazing to see where the Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah go now. I was really interested in Iran's response when they sent 14 missiles, which is what the amount that, by the way, struck those bunker buses that they used to strike. And they sent 14 missiles over toward a United States base. However, they called ahead of time and said, hey, they're on their way. And we were able to pick them all off, and one of them was a dud, I guess. So, you know, that goes back to the idea you said in the very beginning, Joe, of saving face. They had to do something. They say, hey, we're going to send them over. But, hey, we're sending them. Get your defenses ready. Knock them down because they're not that big a deal anyway. So here's the question. You got all these groups that you back, the Houthis and Hamas and Hezbollah, the three that come to mind. And the mothership has been damaged pretty badly there in Iran. So where are these three groups to go now? Are they go off on their own? Do they somehow try to fund themselves? Do they have the ability to even do that and carry out any actions against Israel now with impunity? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's interesting because Iran apparently asked Hezbollah for some help, and I'm not sure what that would have looked like, but Hezbollah distanced themselves from Iran.
Yeah.
So in Hezbollah's mind, they can function on their own. Hamas is going to have a lot more problem. The thing with the missiles that Iran sent is now every shot they fired is a shot they can't fire again.
Right.
You know, they've lost so much that they're running. I wonder how much the war stocks they really have, and I don't know that. So these other groups, these terror groups, the thing about terror is it's a cheap option. I mean, look at the IRA for how many decades, couple centuries, right? Like when did the IRA start? Early 1900s,
right?
Like the Easter Sunday thing. But in some form or fashion, they had existed, for a bit longer than that. So terror is always a cheap option, right? You can always just shoot something, break something, wreck something, right? On the other hand, there's still the pan-Arab sentiment against Israel. Although like certain nations, especially like Pakistan, will continue to fund anti-Israel activities. There are supranational financial arrangements for some of that kind of stuff. So I don't know how that plays in. Similar to I guess an analogy would be like the cartels. They don't put their money in a bank,
right?
Okay, but they can make. There's also ways to make more illegal money off of illegal money. It's not just drug sales; it's actually investing and financing. So the Arabs pioneered that kind of thing. They've had that for a couple centuries, maybe their banking system. So that's, that may be a possibility, but I think probably what everybody's saying right now is just kind of hunkered down because, if you look at the October 7th war that started in Israel, almost 2 years now, a year and a half, 3/4?
Right.
Okay, there haven't been any major anythings from Hamas in that time. So they've depleted, when they do something like that, that's what they have to do it with. That's an all-in, it's a Tet offensive, for the North Vietnamese. We're all in. This is what we got. And when it's done, we're done for a while.
Right.
So I think for the moment, that's where it's at.
Okay.
Nuclear weapons have always been the equalizer in that equation, which is why nobody lets them have it. Even the Iranians have not let Hezbollah or Hamas have a nuke. And that's not insignificant.
Right. That's been the one unifying thing the whole way through.
Right.
That everyone said you cannot allow this group to have it, and you and I talked about it the other week because if it gets to the hands of these irresponsible people that are out there as proxies, it's really going to be a mess. It's bad enough that
and that's not new.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not new.
No, exactly.
Remember when the Soviet Union broke up? The criminal oligarchs, moved into town and started taking over, and that was the scare. Of course, we had to continue the nuke scare from the 70s and 80s, right? Oh my God, there's going to be nukes. Now we don't know where the Russian nukes are. Oh, they're in the hands of criminals. Yeah, I don't know where they are, but I mean, nobody's used one or threatened to use one. So, yeah, I think that's where it's. I mean, it's still the stuff of. I mean, it's still very plausible,
right?
But on the other hand, it's still the stuff of espionage movies, at least to date. Thank God. But there it is. So right.
Joe, great stuff this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it, and we will talk to you again next Monday morning, my friend.
All right, brother.
Have a great week. Take care now. Major Joe Decree, retired now, a veteran of Kosovo, Afghanistan, and Iraq, and he's out in Montana, but has a great insight, I think, on what is going on. Do want to remind you that this hour is being brought to you by Poblano's Tex-Mex Grill. That's exactly right. If you're looking for the best Mexican food here in New York, I'm telling you what, you need to get out to Poblano's right now, 2150 White Street, Suite number 7, right out there on the west side of York. And I'm telling you what, they have some of the best food you're ever going to taste. They've got just great tacos and empanadas. If you like empanadas, these nice sweet dough. It's, I can't, that's the only way I can say it. It's not terribly sweet, but it's got this really neat taste in there with ground beef inside, or you get chicken inside, or cheese inside. Fantastic. They've got these chicharron sandwiches with this pork that is just off the charts, and a special kind of sauce Lachelle Rios puts in there. They got sweet potato fries with a little bit of salt on there, caramelized on the frying pan, and she brings them out. I could sit there and eat those suckers all day long. I'm telling you what. Taco Tuesday, they have great tacos. They have burrito tacos as well. They've got all kinds of other specials, too numerous to mention right here. But if you mention that you heard this on the Gary Sutton Show, with the entree that you buy, they will give you a free drink. Just ask them. Tell them about it. And you can eat out there. They have a great place to dine. It's just beautiful inside. And then you can also call for takeout. That's exactly right. So they are ready to help you today at Poblano's Tex-Mex Grill, open Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. You can call for takeout at 717-893-7781. Again, Suite 7, 2150 White Street in York. 2150 White Street in York, out there in the West York side of things. And I'll tell you, Poblano's Tex-Mex Grill is ready for you today. Pablo Ayala and Lachelle Rios just doing it up and doing it right. Some of the best Mexican food you'll eat anywhere. Maybe give them a try tonight, right? Or this afternoon for lunch. Poblano's Tex-Mex Grill. I'm Gary Sutton, and when we come back, Mark Hendrickson checks in on social media and sports. Today is National Social Media Day. Has it been good for sports, or has it put too much pressure on individuals? Is it putting too much of a relationship between the fans and the people who are playing in sports? And what about ESPN and Fox Sports and places like that? Is it the examination glass just a little too narrow? We'll ask Mark about all that here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
just a love machine, and I won't work for nobody but you. Baby, I'm just a love machine.
The Miracles, right?
Yeah, we were doing 1976 bumper music today.
Okay, this is Smokey. Yeah. So was Smokey Robinson in this one?
You know, I don't think so. I think this was after he left. I think. I don't think any of those guys is Smokey. And it would probably say Smokey.
Smokey Robinson of the Miracles.
Yes.
Very good song, though.
You can't sit still.
No, you can't. No, you can't. Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show, the main street of York in York County, right here on WOYK. We're at 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK AM here on a Monday morning, the last day of June, 2025. And by the way, I want to remind you, there's a sale this afternoon. If you're a little hot, go inside where it's a little cooler. And Jack and Jill Hooks have a sale at Thomasville Country Auction at 4 p.m. That's right. It's an estate sale. Now I have the leather sofa, chrome dinette, tools, a snowblower, pressure washer, collector card sets, mahogany table, 6 chairs, 4-drawer chest, full bed, set of full bedding, cabinet with bookcase, top. They've got a leather DB recliner sofa. We've got a magazine rack, hamper, solid wood coffee table. It goes on. And if you want to see every item that's up for bid this afternoon, go to ThomasvilleCountryAuction.com. Go to the little blue tabs on your left, and you will see auction dates. And hit auction date today is June 30th, and you will see every item up for bid. So, coincidentally, you then will know what you're, bidding on this afternoon when you're going to get on out there. They've got just a great selection for these estate sales. And I'll tell you what, whether it's an estate sale or you're moving or you're downsizing, any time is a great time to have a sale at Thomasville Country Auction. You can give them a call at 717-764-5403. That's 717-764-5403. And I do want to remind you that there are jobs available right now, part-time and full-time, at Thomasville Country Auction. Jack and Cheryl Hooks are always looking for a few extra hands to help them carry on these really neat sales that they have. And it's just a good job. It's a good job. So give them a call today on that, or give them a call at the same number, 717-764-5403, and say, Jack and Cheryl, we'd love to have you come out to our home, see what we have, talk to us about a sale. We don't really understand it like I did when I had an estate sale 6 years ago. And they explained everything to me, and then also explained how they could hold the items from my house to their auction house and then get the right kind of sale. They had 4 sales for the stuff that my mother had that she had to get out. And 4 sales it took to get rid of it all. And then Cheryl sold the real estate and saved us a lot of money and time and trouble right there as well. So all of that they can do for you at Thomasville Country Auction. Why don't you check them out in person this afternoon at 4 p.m. They have a sale. It's at Thomasville Country Auction, Route 30 West at the railroad tracks in Thomasville. WOYK News Time is 8:38, and we're joined this morning by Mark Hendrickson, who is one of only 13 players to be a player in the NBA and Major League Baseball all at the same time. That's quite a unique company. Good morning, Mark. How you doing?
Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Well, I'm pretty good, except I don't have a real good line hookup with you right here for some reason. So I'm
okay.
Now there you are. I got you now. Okay, good. So now we're together. And how was your week? You have a good week?
I did.
I am glad to hear that. Today, by the way, I don't know if you're aware of this yet or not, is National Social Media Day, Mark. I don't know how much of a social media guy you are, but I know that you have, I believe, 4 daughters who probably would not say, Dad, let's put the social media away. But I wanted to ask you this. What has social media done in terms of, Major League sports, in terms of basketball, in terms of football? What kind of effect, in your effect, has it been a generally positive effect on sport, or has it brought too much in terms of the way people scrutinize everything and they're able to talk about it? Has that been a generally good thing? What's your take on all that?
Well, I think the connection between players and fans has been a positive, but I think for the most part, social media, if used properly, can be very, very beneficial in connecting people, obviously. But I think it's also opened up a lot, like you said, a lot of criticism, a lot of things that athletes now have to deal with, where when I was playing, it was in its infancy stage, so there really wasn't a whole lot to deal with. You could just go out and play, and then any interaction you had with fans was usually at the stadium. So it's opened up the opportunity to connect with a lot more people, so I think that's a positive.
When you look at that combined with the scope of ESPN now and all of the so-called experts that you see sitting around every night analyzing everything that all of you do in every aspect of every sport, when you see Fox Sports and all these different programs, the betting that's going on right now, the totality of all of that, along with social media, I don't know if it's good, at least for and again, I'm not in your position where you've played, you've been on that stage, on two stages, in fact, with the NBA and the MLB. I'm not sure the cumulative effect of that is good. What say you?
I can agree with that. I think, like I said, the part, if it's used properly, I think the biggest thing that we see now is like everybody has an opinion.
Right.
And the best advice I got from my sports psychologist that I used when I was in baseball, and he used it in reference to umpires. He said, look, if you don't like the call with an umpire and you think it's easy, hang up your uniform, go to umpiring school, and be an umpire. And I think that's the perspective that a lot of people... It's one thing if somebody has played, but it's another if you've never really played to experience. It's like, go ahead and put yourself in that situation. It's not super easy. And I think these guys are competing at a very high level in whatever sport they're doing. And, their failures are there for everybody to see. So as valuable as those are, as far as accountability, it just lets you know how difficult these sports are that these great athletes are playing.
When you watch the draft for the NBA this week, this kid, Cooper Flagg, I mean, it's amazing anymore. Here's a kid that could have been in high school last year, played for Duke. He comes from Maine, played for Duke. He's the number one player in the draft. You look at the players that are going right now, and so many of them, like Duke does the 1 year and done kind of thing for these kind of players. So I ask myself the question anymore, are we seeing college athletics going away, or is it just a training ground anymore for the pro athlete, for the superior pro athlete? I mean, Duke was always a great institution for learning as well. And now you almost say when Mike Krzyzewski kind of, I thought, sold out a few years ago and said, we'll take the one and done kind of look. There's something about that I don't like. Because you go there, one intends to go to college, you think for 3-4 years, get an education and go on. Now you say, well, okay, you go there because of the entertainment dollar. You go there because of you're out in the big stage. You're going to get noticed. You're going to play a national schedule. Everybody's going to see you on TV. Is that a good thing for college athletics, i.e. education? What's your take on that as far as the balance?
I probably don't think it is, but I know the NBA tried to do a little bit with their age requirement to at least make sure the talent that was coming into their league wasn't as watered down. But I think also when you're becoming a one and done, it's kind of one and done with the way the portal's set up now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, so you may get a one and done that doesn't necessarily take a player to the next level, but just takes him to another school. So that's where it's gotten difficult. And we've seen the gap. You know it. I know it. The Power Four conferences are starting to separate themselves from other conferences, and it's interesting to see how this will all play out. And obviously, football is dictating a lot of these decisions. So I don't know from a fan perspective. I guess if you're an alumni of one of the major schools that's always going to be competing, you have no problem. Kind of like if you're a Yankee fan and there was no salary cap in baseball, you didn't care as long as your team was competing. But if you're a fan of somebody else, you kind of get you'd like to see a little bit more even balance, but hard to say where this is going to really end up.
There was a time where you wouldn't even imagine Brooks Robinson playing in another uniform but an Orioles uniform, right? I mean, you couldn't, and he never did. You did see Johnny Unitas, I think, go to San Diego, I think, for 1 year, but it was Johnny Unitas was a Baltimore Colt forever. Now, there's no loyalty to team anymore in terms of that. It's a loyalty to individual and moving to a team, and then your loyalty is that team for the 1 year that they're there, and then maybe moving on. So the mindset has changed so much. I'm not saying for right or wrong. From my standpoint, I always liked the loyalty to a team that had the same people, but I'm not sure what that meant either. But what's your take on that now as we move players around so much, as you rightfully mentioned?
Well, I think in professional sports, you saw it with, like, say, a Tom Brady, for example. You know, I was never in that position, but if a guy's in a position where he's going to be getting a major contract, yeah, you're not seeing guys that will sacrifice or defer some money so that their teams can remain competitive.
Right.
A lot of times guys will take the biggest salary they can get regardless, and I don't know if that's necessarily the right mindset. Like I said, I can't judge because I was never in that position, but I think the ones that truly understand it's more than just a contract are willing to negotiate and do things differently to keep their teams competitive. So I think guys that can stay in an organization that are in that position, because I know when I played, there was guys that would love to stay in the situation. But unfortunately, the way the business works, if you're not one of the top tier players on that team, they were always kind of bringing new guys in, because if you didn't win a championship, you've got to kind of look at your roster and make adjustments for the upcoming season to get to that level.
What's been interesting to me the last bunch of years has been the teams that win, like the national championship, particularly in basketball, are teams that have kept the same players there for 3 or 4 years. You don't see the one-and-dones anymore. You saw a couple of them years ago with Duke had one, but you don't see that anymore for the most part. Now you do start to see teams now who are competing for those, and this is a different thing altogether, with teams that have come from all other kinds of teams because of the portal. That's been the one big change I've seen over the last bunch of years. Final thoughts on that this morning?
Chemistry. You know, chemistry goes a long way in certain sports, and basketball is one of them. But I think what you're seeing coaches are realizing, too, is I don't have time to develop young kids. So I'm going to go to the portal, and I'm going to get some experienced players who've played against elite competition. And that's a little bit easier to mesh.
Right.
Because you've already got the financial part figured out. But you're also bringing in established players who have maybe played in your conference or played in another Power 4 conference. So they're much more experienced than these young kids coming up through the AAU circuit. So I think that's why you're seeing those teams be a lot more successful with the portals, because it's kind of the common theme.
Mark, great stuff this morning, as always, my friend. Thank you so much for taking the time to discuss with us. Happy July 4th coming up on Friday, and I look forward to talking with you again next Monday morning, okay?
All right. Sounds good, Gary. Appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend. Have a great week. Mark Hendrickson here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. When we come back, our final segment comes up. Mark's got a bunch of stuff. I've got a bunch of stuff, some final thoughts, some final stories, all here on the Gary Sutton Show, WOYK. Welcome back to Gary Sutton Show. Little Steve Miller Band coming back here on 8:51 on a Monday morning of July 4th week.
Last day of June.
That's right, the last day of June, which means our first 6 months are over.
Yeah.
We're on toward Christmas, starting tomorrow.
We started a new streak.
Yes, exactly right. So tomorrow, July 1st, we'll start a brand new half of the year. And what a year it has been so far, huh? You feel like you've lived about 4 years in this last 6 months in a lot of ways.
No doubt.
By the way, one of the things that summer heat can do is put serious stress in your engine and make sure your coolant levels are topped off and your radiator is working perfectly, ladies and gentlemen. I say that because overheating is one of the most common causes of summer breakdowns. Don't let it happen. And that's a tip from GMBalvo-Mitsubishi.com, where they have inventory of new cars and used cars as well. But the new cars right now are the ones I want to talk to you about. I'll tell you what, Mitsubishi, under the directorship of GM Balvo, has got the Mitsubishi Outlander, the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, the Outlander Sport. They've got the 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage G4 and the 2025 Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid, plus the Mitsubishi Mirage, the 2024, and the one I just bought in February, the 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander. What a great car it has been for me. And I'll tell you one of the things I really enjoyed. My wife drove home yesterday from this golf tournament we were at, and I was listening to the sound system. And it's really a neat stereo sound system in there. It's very, very good. But the room that we have, my wife and I put a lot of different things in for this trip, plus my golf clubs, plus some shag bag and some balls and some other things. We had plenty of room. We stretched out, and it's just a great vehicle to drive. Drives smoothly. And what makes each Mitsubishi model unique is it's stylish, it's compact, and yet at the same time, a very sporty design, practical functionality. That's what I always look for in a car. And distinctive exterior designing, well-appointed interior with ample cargo space, which I just told you about. I think it's just fantastic. And the Outlander serves as the flagship for the Mitsubishi. Yeah, the 3-row SUV offering generous seating for up to 5 to 7 passengers while maintaining excellent maneuverability and a comprehensive suite of safety features. It's got it all in there. I love my Mitsubishi Outlander, and you will too. The GM Balvo Mitsubishi right here in York. You can find them at 1301 Roosevelt Avenue, just off Route 30. And they're all open today. 717-563-7741. That's 717-563-7741. Or give their service department a call at the same number, 717-563-7741. They are ready to meet you today. They're open at 9 o'clock. And give them a call this morning and tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you to GM Balvo Mitsubishi, 1301 Roosevelt Avenue, right here in York.
So Americans love their pets.
They do.
And this will go to prove it.
Pause.
That's 12-year-old UV Argawal of Houston playing his heart out for his four-legged audience at an animal shelter.
A lot of them have come from very rough backgrounds with humans. We've seen a lot here that have been confiscated from their owners for abuse or neglect.
He noticed his keyboard playing helped calm his own dog down, so why not try it on traumatized shelter pets?
When they see a human, they're like, oh, he's going to do something bad to me. And then when the human is playing music for them, the dog will be like, humans are good.
It works so well, UV started a nonprofit called Wild Tunes and has so far recruited over 100 volunteer musicians and singers. They've already performed at 9 shelters in Colorado, New Jersey, and Texas. Rock on and take a pause. Jill Nato, Fox News.
And here is a group that needs to take a pause right now. Their pause are not ones you want to feel. Remember last month, Mark, you gave this story about the alligator attack on the couple in the canoe?
Yes.
Down in Florida. Mm-hmm. Well, the massive alligator knocked over the canoe. They're going back and they found all of what happened. Knocked over a canoe with the married couple aboard, killing the wife after snatching her, dragging her under fresh water in Central Florida.
Wow.
They've done some follow-up on this. The attack took place in the mouth of Tiger Creek near Lake Kissimmee in Polk County. An 11-foot, 4-inch gator
bit
the woman, pulled her underwater, according to Haley Seeley, spokesperson for the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. And it was in May 6th. And it killed Cynthia Dykeman, 61 of Polk County, and much of the and part of the Lakeland Winter Haven metro area. Officials say on that day, what happened was just after 4, the gator came over, bumped the canoe. And they said the preliminary investigation found the victim was canoeing with her husband when they were encountered in a gator, causing both individuals to fall into the water. The wife was immediately bitten on the torso, and efforts by her husband to assist her were unsuccessful. The gator performed a death roll and swam away with the victim, according to Seeley, who said the wife's body was later found and recovered.
Did he make it?
He made it. Yeah, he actually made it. A state-contracted nuisance alligator trapper arrived, captured the gator responsible for the attack, and it was, quote-unquote, dispatched, officials said, meaning it was killed. The attack remained under investigation on June 26th.
Remember last week we were talking about neither one of us like canoes.
No.
And there's another reason.
Check. Another reason. That,
no protection.
No. And so here's what they have. They have this little notice here. What do you do if you see an alligator close?
Okay.
Number 1,
paddle away.
Keep a safe distance if you see an alligator. What is that? Yes. Yeah. Number 2, keep pets on a leash and away from the water's edge. Pets often resemble alligators' natural prey. Number 3, alligators are most active between dusk and dawn. That helps. If you swim, do so in a designated area during daylight hours, because the alligators will read that and they won't be able to come into the designated area. Do not swim with your pet. Yeah, really? And finally, do not feed an alligator. It's illegal and dangerous. None of those are things that broke new ground for me, Mark. Call me dumb, but there you go.
I like also the fact that, you've got, if you're going to, is it Florida? All right, I'm just going to cut
alligators
it down.
live in Florida.
It's just Florida. Don't even bother going in. Maybe, you know what I would travel? One of those fan boats.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So you're going to, there's no death roll with that.
They seem not to jump that.
That's exactly right.
Well, and you know what? They're out, when you go into those areas, as Mark so rightfully pointed out, you're on the visiting team.
Yes.
Their alligators are just going to be alligators. Not that they're going to change. It's like, is Trump going to change? No, an alligator is not going to change. Oh. He is going to bite you. He sees you as food. Even if he doesn't see you as food, he goes, hey, I'm sorry. It's a little late. Once he has tasted you and whatever. So,
oh goodness,
let's get with it. By the way, this hour has been brought to you by Poblano's Tex-Mex Grill, and they're right out there at 2150 Suite number 7 in York. Get out there today, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day but Sunday. And I tell you, Pablo Ayala, Michelle Rios, the best steak bowls, shrimp tacos, sweet potato fries, churros, chicharron sandwiches, tacos on Tuesday. They got it all. Burritos. Give them a call today if you want to take out at 717-893-7781, or stop out and see them, or check their menu out at toasttab.com and tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you. They have sponsored the 8 o'clock hour here on the Gary Sutton Show. And we'll have our great lineup coming up tomorrow here as we continue forward in the week, as we talk with, who the heck are we talking with tomorrow? Yeah, I forget. But we'll get to it. Yeah, we'll remember it all tomorrow. Don't forget, tomorrow night the Revs play baseball here. That all started 6:10 on WOYK. Thanks for joining us today. We've had a great time with you. It is 9 o'clock.